Have we had a day in court in our lives? My days in court have been around traffic tickets. For me. Sometimes I got to go where I got to go, and I get a little careless. And then there are those, and I've gone to court with them, who are in a lot more serious trouble than a small traffic fine. That may be facing time in our prisons. And our prison system and our justice system and our legal systems are far from perfect. And the best lawyers will admit this to you. And of the justice of Jesus' day, we can be in some ways astonished, since we often look to the past as it being barbaric and disorganized. But here we have a multi-tiered legal system being laid out before us. And in wondrous detail, the Bible tells us what happens and how the trial proceeds. John is very good to point out that those who came to give testimonies, a number of them were there to give false testimonies, maybe to get their name on the record, maybe because they loved to give testimony in court, and maybe they had a particular grudge against Jesus or wanted to win favor with the high priests. There's no motivation really shown, just that they were false. And offering false testimony in that day and age was considered a terrible crime, punishable by jail and fines, and in some cases, if you caused the death of another, you could face death yourself. That whole eye for eye mentality that comes out of both Babylonian and biblical legal traditions. As Jesus stood before this criminal justice system, even into an international court, except in Roman eyes. But even before the Roman governor, he is brought, he is tried and questioned. And as far as the Jewish authorities, the people of God saw Jesus as guilty. Those who represented God's people denied the Messiah. The disciples were gone. Those that could witness of Jesus didn't stand as witnesses. Except for Peter, who in the courtyard said, I don't know him. Judas of the disciples, who said, that's the one you want to arrest. But by this point, Judas had already declared, no, he's innocent. I have betrayed innocent blood. Judas couldn't accuse him. Peter couldn't admit to him. Everything was turned on its head. Nothing made sense. And we proceeded anyway. They brought Jesus back to the court, to the Roman governor. And the Roman governor said, I'm going to have nothing more to do with this. You have permission to do what you want to do. We have that permission too, don't we? In our society, in our communities. To do with Christ as we would want to do. Where is Christ? Where are we with Christ? Where is our neighborhoods with Christ? Betraying, denying, running away. We sure do a good job standing with the disciples sometimes. In order to approach the cross, we have to get through the mire and the reality of this sin. This tendency that is on all of us, that if we don't admit it, it will direct our faith. And sin has no place in the direction of our faith. Sin's purpose is to direct us towards death, to emphasize that separation from God until we would deny sin and admit grace and admit the love of God. To some, Jesus was and still is a criminal. He went through the justice system. They found him guilty. He got what he deserved. And there may be a part of us that goes along with that. And calling it justice. Justice for who? Justice for those who needed him most? Justice for those who relied on the miracles? Justice for those who had power and wanted to keep it? Who was directing the life of faith of the church in this day and age? Those who need that faith? Those whose lives and meaning in their lives depend on it? Or those who have power and want to use it? When we come to the cross of Jesus, who do we find standing there? Are we weeping with those who weep? Or are we mocking with those who mock?